Welcome back to, not decked out. Welcome back to the Good Time Boys. So I don't want to do this. I don't like it.
Do you want to switch?
I hate it. Don't put any of that in.
Hey, welcome back to the podcast, everybody. Pretend like this is a really funny intro and that I didn't leave in the part where NerdGirl made me switch seats with her because she doesn't like being in the center. Today, we're going to be talking about that sort of dynamic because it's all about decked out and how we got started, just how we met and how the team came together and what we did and the whole process getting from day one to where we are now. Plus some stuff about doing content creation in general. And we'll also be answering your questions that you sent to us about us.
Yeah.
So I guess we start at the beginning. That's a very good place to start.
Usually.
Yeah. How did we all meet?
The three of us kind of met due to, was it Top Deck Studios?
Yeah, you.
Yeah.
The person not in the center seat is the reason that we all met.
Veggie, I literally hired you to be in the center seat. I was like, we don't want to be in the center seat. We need someone who wants to be there. And then we hired you. That's how this happened.
Yeah.
So I started a esports team and we were all working together to get sponsors, and I wanted to make it easy and accessible for people to create content together, as well as monetize that content through sponsorships. And I thought that best way to do that would be by working together. So we had some big names: Ollie Eldrazi, Covert Go Blue,
VeggieWagon.
and VeggieWagon. Yeah. And then we had a lot of smaller creators, mid-sized to small, myself, Veggie, and Airball for a little bit as well. And we started there. And then from that, Airball and I wanted to start a Commander show. And we reached out to Veggie because we knew Veggie through Top Deck Studios and was like, hey, Veggie, you want to move across the country?
Yeah. It was like, hey, we want to start a Commander show. We don't really play Commander. Also don't like being on camera. Can you? I was like, oh, cool. I don't know. This seems like a good deal.
That's more or less how it went.
I remember this differently because we've had this discussion before where, as far as I remember, it was, we for some reason, the topic came up very casually where, I made some joke that I would move somewhere I was looking to move. Very not serious, like throwaway joke here. And then like the next day I get a DM that's like, hey, how serious are you about moving? We're doing this Commander show. You should move across country.
That is not how it went at all.
This is how I and now yeah, tell them what you remember.
So you said that you were like, oh, I'm interested in potentially moving. I would love to talk to you at some point about what it's like out West Coast, Portland, specifically. And we had a phone call. We jumped into a Discord phone call and I talked about, oh yeah, Portland is great. Washington's good. No income tax. If you live on the border, then there's no income and no sales tax. And we talked about all of this stuff. And then we ended the conversation. And you're like, okay, yeah, that sounds cool. Ended the conversation. And then about a month later, 2 weeks, 3 weeks later, we happened to be, Airball and I, talking about starting a Commander show. And I was like, cool, Airball, you'll start one with me? And Airball's like, yeah. And I was like, I don't have money for equipment. And Airball's like, I'll help. And I was like, cool. You'll be my co-star? And Airball's like, I don't want to be on camera. And I was like, oh, well, I don't want to do it by myself. So we need another person. And that was when your name came up. And I was like, well.
Yeah, we were like, we need someone who is funny and good in front of the camera. And we thought and couldn't come up with anything. So we asked Veggie instead.
Well, and so we thought you would be a good fit. But also the reason you came up in my head is because you had that conversation with me.
Yeah, the way that I remember is that happened after.
No.
Where it's like, oh, move across the country. We're doing this Commander show. I'm like, oh, all right, well, we should talk about what it's like to be out there.
We had a whole conversation about vague Portland before I even thought of a Commander show.
All right, so now we know the definitive start of Decked Out.
And I was like, Veggie is thinking about moving, and I think he would be a really good fit for a Commander show. Like, he likes being on camera. He's very funny, and he knows Commander better than the two of us. So I thought it was a great fit. And I was like, hey, come across the country. I know we've met like twice, but like you should totally do it.
Yeah. Now, we did do like a test run. So it wasn't just a one shot. Great, I moved. Let's hope this works out. It was still kind of like that.
It's close.
But we had like a week and a half where I came out, right? 2 weeks.
I don't even think it was
Not
that
even.
long. I think it was like
Not even.
4 or 5 days.
At most 4 or 5 days, yeah.
I think it was like a weekend plus.
Yeah.
Because we filmed 3 games and you weren't even here. You flew out before the 3rd game. Because that was the girls' night episode that got like torched because there had some issues or something that we didn't get to end up airing.
Yeah,
but
like audio issues. Yeah.
But yeah, you flew out. We ripped apart before you got here. I think I had ripped out my bed from my bedroom because I have the master bedroom, so it was like the largest. And we set up a little temporary, overhang. Airball and I had gotten the groundwork for all of the equipment, and we obviously set up a lot of it in the master bedroom. And then we spent a few days talking about names. And watching other channels' content and seeing like what we liked, what we thought we could improve on, what we would want our own unique spin to be.
Yeah, you have to remember back then, like we weren't super saturated with Commander shows on YouTube.
There was like 3 or 4 total
at most, right? And like Game Nights was one of them.
It was Game Nights, Spike Feeders, and Elder Dragon Hijinks.
Right, and the Nitpicking Nerds were like recording. They were our inspiration, but I don't think they had actually aired one of their gameplay episodes by the time we recorded our first.
No, they definitely had.
they?
Yeah.
But they were not like a dedicated show.
No, it was like once every quarter they would do something. And that's part of the reason I started thinking of doing a Commander show, because I went and filmed with them. And I was like, oh, I know people who know what equipment we need. I see their setup. I really had a good time doing this, and I want to do something similar with my friends. But I got stuck with Veggie instead.
So we had nothing really to go off of when we were coming up with the show and how we wanted the flow and stuff to be. So all of it was kind of ad hoc, and we sort of figured it out as we went.
Yeah, we didn't have a name, we didn't have a logo, and we sort of sketched out some things that we wanted all in that first 5 days. We settled on Decked Out. I don't think even any of us really loved it. We just all liked it, and it liked that it had sort of that extra double, triple meaning.
I don't know. I thought it was brilliant. It all came together pretty quickly because it was just like, okay, conversation that you initiated and did everything for ahead of time, and then came in for this test run where we did the first 3 episodes, one of which got messed up, and then we like kind of felt out, okay, can we work together? Can we live together? Frankly,
It feels now like all 3 episodes got kind of messed up. Like looking back at the leap in quality we've had since then. Yeah.
Although I think we did a really good job with our first episodes.
I also think we did a good job with the exception of the audio being desynced. Like you're supposed to throw out the first pancake. We didn't. We aired it for all of you to see, and I'm like pretty proud considering we went into it with like no editing skills really, like outside of like shorts, and no
skills,
gameplay, equipment sort of setup. Like I thought we did a very good job.
Yeah. And what's interesting for that, so if you have seen the first episode or you end up going back and watching it, you'll see this audio desync that we're talking about. And the reason that happened is because at the time I was not here yet, so I was editing this on the other side of the country because I had returned to my home, and I was working off of a little piece of garbage PC that I had bought for like $700 off of Facebook Marketplace. And because of my monitor setup, there was an actual delay between what I was seeing and the audio that I was hearing. So to me, it lined up, and I had no way to know that it was like that there was this issue and until it was on YouTube.
Yep.
Yeah, it was also especially difficult because Decked Out is a multicam show. A lot of other Commander shows like just have the top-down camera, or they just have the top-down camera and one in-profile camera that gets all 4 players. We had 3 total cameras with different frame rates, different resolutions, and Veggie with no editing experience at all. It was kind of a miracle the episode even came out.
Yeah. Do you guys remember filming our first episode? Our side cams kept shutting off because we didn't know that the side cams we bought could only be on for 20 minutes.
Yeah, that was bizarre. Like you had, even if you had them plugged into wall power, they would stop recording after half an hour just by design.
So in the middle of episode 1, we have Power Dragon and Zbex both traveled 2 hours to be here. Game 1 took, I think, 10 hours to film because we kept having to start and stop. We had overheating cameras. We had cameras that shut off. Airball and I took a trip in the middle of the episode to go buy new side cams. It was absolutely wild. It took 10 hours. And I think there was a situation in that game where we forgot Saheeli had hexproof. And I think I targeted it. Shalai. And
actually, Shalai didn't have hexproof. It was the only thing that didn't.
I think something was targeted, I think, when...
so everybody was like, oh my gosh, cheating. And I'm like sitting here thinking in my head, I was like, that card was cast 7 hours prior. Like I did not even remember what our board state was when we came back to this game. Like, I think if you can see outside the window, you can probably see that a whole day goes by.
Yeah. It's also very interesting to see the change in balance of games since then. If you look at that first game, these were decks that we did choose, like, and a lot of this was on me as the person coming in with supposed, commander experience and understanding. I was like, okay, cool. We'll do, Power Dragon had a Rith deck that was very like old school EDH style.
And Zbex had the all dogs go to heaven.
Zbex had a very like thematic, Ginny Fae, but we're only making dogs, like casual deck. I had my hee hee ha ha tempting worm, group hug meme deck, and then I don't know if you had actually built it at the time or if you were borrowing it straight up from me.
I was borrowing it from you.
Yeah, so that makes it even worse.
It was your Yenet deck.
Yeah, it was Yenet giant spells. And so we immediately run into a gameplay issue where I play Tempting Worm on turn 2 and say, everybody dump your hand. And the deck that I have given you has a billion huge problematic things. You go, oh, Jin-Gataxias. That seems good. Put that on the board. And we're looking at, 3 decks and I have to figure out how to deal with this. We learned a lot over time on how to balance decks better and build them for entertaining games and consistency. Like we got lucky with that because of our personalities and because of what we were able to do in the game. It ended up still being fun and entertaining, but like there was high potential that Jin-Gataxias makes that a non-game.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people don't realize how inconsistent Commander is as a format. Like a lot of games are just non-games and you don't remember them because you're just like, oh, well, on to the next one.
And you had fun.
Sure.
A little bit more board game.
Or if you didn't, you just get on to the next game that much faster. But when you're recording games and those games take 4 or 5 hours and you're doing weekends where people are only in town for a little bit, you need to get as much juice out of that weekend as you can. And if you have non-games, then you either air them and they're not entertaining, or you throw them away and you threw away all that effort of building the decks and getting the footage. So it's really important to design things so that you get games to fire almost all the time.
Yeah, and it's also tough because you can't throw away non-games like you were saying. So there's been times where, and it doesn't happen on our show very often because of the way we build and a little bit the way we play, we kind of give people the opportunity to do a thing, or we build decks that we know can all kind of do a thing that are on similar power level. And people will say, well, why don't you just play more games, play 5 or 6 games and show us the most interesting one? And it's like, holy smokes, do you have any idea how much time that would take?
Yeah, it's just, just spend 3 times the amount of time and resources. That should be fine, right? That's a great business model.
So as we record this, we are building like 8 decks for a recording weekend. NerdGirl's about to get on a plane to Germany decks. In a few days. 16 decks, sure, whatever. It's the same thing. I have 16
parts of 16 decks on my desk that I was working on all day.
NerdGirl's getting on a plane to Germany. I have to go up to Seattle in a day or two. There's like contracted videos we need to make. If we take any of that time for something that is not productive, we will not get anything done.
Well, and a single episode, now, if we were playing multiple games, it wouldn't take as much time. But one episode, one shot already takes us like 100 hours of manpower almost. Like between brewing, building, filming, editing, prep, like promotion.
And that's after we've gotten way more efficient at it.
Oh, yeah. It used to take Veggie 40 hours to edit a game.
Yeah, it would be like, oh my God, I only have like 2 weeks to edit this single episode. I don't know if I can make it in time. And having that now cut down to I can put out an episode that I'm happy with in a couple days.
Yeah, you were completely self-taught, so that was substantially harder. And the same thing goes for filming. I remember shortly after you moved, so we filmed in September, aired our first episode in October, and then actually you hadn't moved yet.
We said that was too easy. Let's take this show on the road, literally.
So then you were moving in January, but in November, October, there was Summit. And we were like, well, we need more episodes. So we hoofed it before you moved all the way. My mom and I drove out, packed up all of the equipment and everything we needed to Salt Lake. Airball flew and you flew, met at Salt Lake, got an Airbnb and filmed like 7 games.
Yeah. So for those of you, there was an event called MTG Summit where a bunch of other content creators were going to be, and it was like, well, this seems like a big opportunity. How hard can it be?
Yeah, so we rented an Airbnb. My mom and I drove like 16 hours to Salt Lake, flew and met these two, set up in an Airbnb.
Defrauded the local Best Buy. I remember we got some Yetis from there and returned them at the end because the mics that we brought weren't working for whatever reason.
Oh, yeah. So we used them for the weekend and then returned them. Sorry, Best Buy. I wasn't going to share that.
We're never going to get the Best Buy sponsorship now.
I think the statute of limitations has passed on it.
Yeah, so we did have to buy some extra mics and return those. Question. By the time we had done Summit, or while we were doing Summit, did you already know you were moving? I'm under the impression that you had, like, yes, we're moving forward with this and moving. But I actually don't know.
I definitely had not moved by that point.
No. But I wonder if, like, I don't know that we would have done Summit if you hadn't have said, yes, we're moving forward with the show.
I'm pretty sure we knew that was happening by that point.
That sounds right. But boy, oh boy, was that a learning experience.
Yeah, the big thing is like everything we did in the early days was like incredibly ambitious. It was like, okay, great, let me move across the country. Oh, let me trust this whole new venture on somebody that we've met for a couple days.
Like 10 to 15 grand worth of equipment.
Right. Yeah, let's go full out Commander gameplay, live gameplay show, multiple camera angles, editing that we've never done before. Okay, now let's move this and take a whole rig like states away to film with people.
And it should tell you something. It's been 3 years and we've never done that again.
Yeah. I mean, it was nice getting all of those episodes, but it was definitely tough to manage the rigging. We had a monitor break. Thankfully, it broke on the way back, so that was not a problem. But I mean, obviously, you take some big risks when you do things like that. I would love to do more of those just because you get access to guests that you can't normally get. I think that would be good for the show. We get a lot of content done. But I think I might be the only person who's interested in running that back, which I think is why we haven't.
I think we've learned enough since then to do it again and better and smoother.
That's why I brought this up, actually, is because we talked about the amount of time it took for editing. We did like 3 episodes one day, and I think it took us 14 hours.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And there was an event going on, by the way.
Well, I think that was like the Thursday before it launched. But now 3 episodes, we know a lot more. Filming is a lot smoother. We figured out how to make the cameras not overheat. So just in general, I think we could probably do, including like food breaks and stuff, if we had like our average episode length in what? Under 8.
3 episodes in under 8 hours?
Yeah.
You're crazy.
What?
No. Not
We've
now
definitely done that.
Now that we've like stopped doing interviews and stuff like that, yeah. But like I think with interviews, it was taking like 3 hours to do an episode.
Yeah. Okay. Maybe 9 is closer, but it was still like I could have swore it was like 14 that day at Summit, and we were all dead.
Mm-hmm. It was very long.
Like episodes were 4 to 6 hours, and now they're like 2 to 4.
Yeah, I'm trying to think because there were the changes that we made to cut down that amount of time. One was in like deck design, taking more care to make sure that we were not setting ourselves up for a super long game.
We've also gotten a lot cleaner with how we play.
Yes, cleaner with how we play, and a good understanding of what things are and do, and a more recent development that you mentioned, Airball, of we have started removing the in-game interviews with players because people are certainly divided on whether or not they like them or not. They do take a good bit more time to do because our process for that had been film the game. Okay, we're done the game. Now each person sits down individually and we as a group kind of go back over what happened during the game. And like, okay, wait, I think this will make for a good moment. Like, what were you thinking here? But that's so like everybody's exhausted by the end of the game. So those take a while.
And they have to be presented in the present tense.
Right.
And that doesn't come easily to people who aren't used to it. So if you're just in town for a weekend doing an episode with us, you want to speak about what did happen, not about what is going to happen. And you have to kind of cajole that out of them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I will say even like that's a recent thing. I still think we've gotten a lot faster even before that.
I think the other major contributor is that like A, the cameras aren't overheating as much as they were. And B, like we literally were able to bolt things into the wall and like put cameras in place and never move them again. Like remember in the early days where we were in that tiny room and everyone was tripping over everything. And if it moved even the tiniest bit, then things got messed up and you had to get everything perfectly aligned every time you were going to record.
Yeah. If you guys see any of those like middle of the show episodes, you'll see the host always on one side of the room. That's because that is the side that you had to step over cords to get to. And I didn't want the guests to like break equipment and or feel bad and or just like slow things down and just not have to mess with it. So yeah, there was a lot of extra wires and cameras and stuff, certainly in that small room.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like the one that fell off the wall and hit Z-Bex in the head.
It did not hit Z-Bex in the head. It came perilously close to hitting Z-Bex in the head.
But that wasn't a camera. That was just a power surge.
Yeah.
Yeah, Z-Bex almost got hit in the head. Like we had what was plugged, the stealing camera and the lights were plugged into what are they called? The extension bar.
Surge protector, power
Surge
bar.
protector, yeah. So we had one of those like stapled up to the ceiling, and yeah, it came loose and swung and like, whoof, barely
it was like
missed
Final
Z-Bex.
Destination style, yeah.
And it was like in the same trip that someone who was like a bystander watching the game went to go give someone something and threw a sock to someone else at the table because they had cold feet and hit Z-Bex in the face, and it wasn't.
Yeah.
So now we've talked a little bit about how it started and how we started. Veggie, how crazy was this?
I think to a lot of people it would have been pretty crazy. And this is a question that I get asked a lot. Is like, you know, what was it like moving across the country? Like, how could you just do something like that? This was the second one for me. I had already done a practice one because I moved from Boston, Massachusetts, over to Portland.
Thanks for clarifying which Boston.
Yeah. And I only a couple years earlier had made my first big move from Baltimore, Maryland, up to there, and that move happened super fast. It was like I had a very good friend who was already living there. We were visiting our parents in Maryland during the holidays. Went out for a drink. By the end of the night, we were like, ha ha ha, what if I moved in with you in your new house in Boston? Wouldn't that be cool? And then like had that had that late night moment of drunken clarity of like, wait, no, we could just do that, right? That's the thing we can do. We're adults and we can just do that.
It's wild when you realize you're an adult.
Did that conversation actually happen, or was it the next day when someone said, hey, when you talked about moving into my house in Boston?
That's the thing is I think it actually gained some weight because we remembered the conversation. So we're like, oh, all right, we weren't that drunk. Hold on, let's this still is a thing, right? And we're like, actually, yeah. So within like a month, I think I had packed up and moved up there. And so this one, I was like, oh, that one, fine. This one is just a little bit farther and people that I don't know even close to as well. But magic, that's cool. So to me, it was fine.
You're a risk taker.
Yeah. I had nothing to live for, so I was like, why not? Let's let me. When
you came for the first trial weekend, what were you thinking? Did you think this was something that might actually pan out, or were you like, I mean, I'll go, but this is probably stupid?
No, I was going into it thinking like, okay, I think this totally works as long as there's not major problems. Like I was already planning on it. I was going into that trial run being like, my default is yes. And unless there is a big problem that I can see, then I will take the risk of, anybody can put on a good face for a couple of days.
When you left that weekend, were there any concerns? Were you like, oh, this is a flag, but maybe not too bad?
I was like, well, wow. One of them works way too much, and the other one does not really seem to like magic that much for as much as he plays it. But
which one was which?
You know what? No one will ever know.
You are kind of a grumpy old man. Mm-hmm. For as much as you like magic, you do act like a grumpy old man.
Yeah. That's like an entire archetype of magic.
Yes. Yeah. Oh, I think the big one, I was like, oh, they are certainly different. Like, they're not my usual crowd. Because I up to that point was very used to like.
You were more wild.
Very, like very extroverted. I lived for the majority of my life with like friends from theater. So I was a house full of starving artists, and that is just I think very opposite of the two of you in different ways.
Yeah, I remember there you were, wild and free, reaching out like you needed me, and I felt like it was meant to be.
This is a reference to something.
Come on, Veggie gets it. Veggie gets me.
Veggie does get you.
Yeah, were you worried after that trial when this because this dynamic I think like showed up immediately where I was like, because I didn't know that you didn't know a lot of like stupid joke references or internet things, so I would just make my same number of jokes expecting both of you to be like, aha, yes, the thing that we all know, and instead it was just me and Airball going, ha ha, that thing, right? Ha ha, yeah, internet, ha ha, pop culture reference, and you going, I don't know.
I don't get it. No, I didn't. I mean, honestly, as far as jumping off the cliff with you guys, I think I had it the easiest because like you had to move and you bought the equipment. I mean, I did put up some money. I bought like the table and the space and chair. Like I bought some of the furnishing, but like for the most part, you guys took the biggest risks.
Not to mention I had the full-time job at the time as well.
Yeah.
Which was pretty, it was.
I mean, I did too.
Yeah, of course. But for me, it was like, it was a double-edged sword because I had the security of having another job to fall back on if it didn't work out. But also I had to work like, 12, 14-hour days to keep the show going.
Yeah. I quit my job.
Mm-hmm.
I quit my job too. I just made Decked Out my thing.
Instead of quit being a content creator to become a content creator.
Yeah.
I had I don't think cushy was like the right word, but I had a job where I was pretty secure and could have just stayed there and been like decently happy. Taking that job in the first place was like me breaking a promise to myself. when I was working as an actor, I moved to Boston not only to live with my friend, but also for the opportunities. And I said, hey, even though in Baltimore, I said I was not going to ever take any other like 9-to-5 job, like as a commitment to being able to do this. When I moved to Boston, I'll take something in the meantime. Like this was kind of set up by friends. And then it turned out that like I liked what we were doing. It was like an escape room type thing. And, the people that owned it were also very like entrenched Magic players. I called out of work like 5 minutes before a shift once because I was like, this is day 2 of the arena open.
Man.
And I just need one more win for like $2,000 and one more win after that. And the owner's already like, yeah, man, just go like play. We're fine. We'll see you when we see you.
That is a nice cushy job.
Right? But I was still feeling that like this is not right for me. This is only fine for me. And this opportunity felt right for me. And so that made it that much easier. Like certainly risk, and maybe it was not what I thought it was at all, but that made it easy for me to do all of those things. And hey, I got lucky.
Aw, you still think you got lucky? All these years later?
Yeah, I'm doing what I like with people that I like, and I certainly don't have a ton of work that I need to do as soon as we're done talking about this.
Yeah, this is going to air in October, and October is our 3-year anniversary, which is part of the reason we thought this would be a really cool video. So that is how we got started. Mm-hmm. How do you guys feel about how things are going? Like we'll get into like some of the things that we want to do. We actually have a question from one of our patrons for the future roadmap. But before we get there, just what is currently happening right now? Are you guys happy with Decked Out? Are there some things that you wish we would have learned sooner or didn't do? Veggie's got something. I saw a face.
I'm okay. You know what? I'm just gonna dive right into a big one, I think. Doing it all again, I would not have started with a Commander gameplay show.
That's interesting, because we very specifically chose a Commander gameplay show because we were like, this is the way the wind is blowing. And I think that was borne out in the last 3 years. So if not a Commander show, what would you have made?
None of us understood the power of short form content at the time. I had been doing it, but only as like, here's a random skit, here's random parody, no consistency. And the success that I got off of it was not numbers or, a payday. It connected me with people that were like, oh, this idiot I like what he's doing there with his 300 views. But I think if we'd started with short form content early and long form that was easier to produce, like this podcast, we wouldn't have felt such a crunch early on. We would have gotten our feet wet in something that was simpler and like, if anything, more stable, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I think I definitely get where you're going. I don't regret it because I do feel like we would have struggled to get monetization. We got monetized on our first episode. We got a ton of credibility. There wasn't a lot of other Commander shows. So I think part of the reason you're saying that is because we've hit this sort of plateau and we haven't had the growth that we've wanted in the last, I would say even 2 years. But I will say, I think in that first year, our growth was amazing. Far bigger and better than I think we could have expected with much other content. Now, because our content is far more expensive to produce, we didn't really see a payday for that. We're still paying our editors more per episode than we make in ad revenue. So we're sort of being funded by either sponsors or patrons. So that is certainly true. But I think that it gave us so much credibility and so much growth at the start that I do like what we did. And I think we learned a lot from how we did it. We definitely did it on hard mode, but I think it was worth it.
Yeah, there's no doubt that making a Commander gameplay show is the least efficient way to make money in Magic content.
Yes.
Yeah.
Time-wise.
It is very bad. But I do think like a Nitpicking Nerds like structure would have been good. I just don't regret how we did it.
Yeah, let me be clear. I don't regret it. It is just I recognize that there would have been easier paths that would have ended up differently. And I think even if we had started out in a different way, I would have wanted to make a gameplay show eventually.
I got such a high with like our first episode hitting like 30K views. Like, I just don't think anything else we could have done at that time does anything like that. It would have taken us a very, very long time, I think. Over a year to start reaching that number.
I think we could have, but only with the knowledge that we have now.
I think that's true. So it wouldn't have been possible. So let's go ahead and answer our first question. We're going to kind of jump around, but this one is from one of our patrons, Alias Proxies. Sorry if I said your name wrong. They're looking for a future content roadmap, things we're planning, content we want to try, things we've tried that didn't work out the way we thought.
So are we. I'd like that roadmap.
I think we actually have a lot of things that we can talk about because we have so much stuff planned and we've done a lot with the subathon.
That made a huge difference in, I think, what we thought we could do and how quickly that we could do it. Because we had been producing just the gameplay show. We had tried the Commander Countdown, where we were doing these shorter episodes of just talking heads. And going in, the subathon showed that we have much more support than even we had imagined from the community, and opened some doors for us to safely produce some new things that we were looking at without, risking time, energy, resources on something that may make it hard to eat for that month.
Yeah, and we definitely have a little bit of those, a good chunk of the resources that we got from the subathon locked away. And the first big change that you're going to see is we're actually hiring a few people. One person more full-time. They'll be a, common face that you see on the team. We're going to hire them to do some editing, to join us for some streams. So that was going to be a big part of it. We're hoping to hire another gameplay editor, potentially someone to do a little bit more like brewing, building, things like that. Sorry, my stomach's growling. Hopefully the mics don't pick that up.
I actually could not hear it for
every time it starts, I like suck it in real quick to make it, because that'll make it stop growling. Yeah. You've never had that?
No.
Okay, well, if your stomach starts growling really loudly and you suck it in, it'll shock it and it will stop growling. I mean, it still growls, but it shuts it up for the moment.
These are the tips that you come here for. Yeah, in terms of like a future roadmap, bringing on help with the day-to-day elements of the gameplay show frees us up to actually think about that. Mm-hmm. Because up until recently, we started off doing the show
every
other week. And then we're like, okay, we finally have a more efficient, streamlined setup. What do we do? And we're like, probably the best thing we can do is go once a week gameplay episodes. And that doubled the work. And only recently did we have an efficient enough setup to be able to accommodate that.
Yeah, we've been getting more and more efficient. I feel like, we actually were able to have almost 20 episodes in the can in various stages of the editing process. And we haven't done much filming in like the 2 months because we had all of that done before the subathon. And then we moved for a month and we're just now starting to get back into filming now. So I agree. I think we've streamlined it a lot and that's freed us up to do more stuff. Mm-hmm. The problem is we just need some help to keep the regular ship running so that way we can explore and paddle off. And one of the things that we want to do first, which we are already locking in 6 episodes for, is the gameplay show.
Oh no, a gameplay show?
Oh no, a game show. A game show. We have 6 episodes that we unlocked as a perk because we really wanted to do this. And the goal was to sort of help us get there financially is now we have a Magic the Gathering game show that Veggie is going to host on the channel. And we've locked in for 6 episodes and we're hoping to start airing that at the start of the new year once we get some help to where we can. Right now, Veggie's editing the this podcast and a few other things, which is not really freeing up the time to do the writing and filming time.
It's my hope that this series will get my full love and attention, because one of the things that you all will learn if you get into content creation, or you already know if you are there, is that if you do it as a hobby, you can like go, great. Here's 100% of exactly what I want to do. It does not matter how this thing performs. This is a project of love. If it takes me 3 years, great. I'll put this out into the world, and it'll be exactly what I want. But when you do it as a career, you do have to make a lot of compromises on like, okay, this can't be perfect because we need to put something out for this week.
We need to eat. And
also you have to figure out, okay, how can we make this efficiently? Because we do need to have something for you every day or every week or et cetera. But this is something that's been in my head for a very long time. And some of you may have seen the test run of it back on the old VeggieWagon channel. I am going to ruin all of my friends' lives with this, because getting to do alternative like comedy content is a thing that I've wanted to do for a very long time. Is where I started doing content, and I think being able to do it with a dedicated audience like all of you, and with access to like good friends that won't totally hate me after what I do to them on this show, is going to be a huge game changer. Wink, wink.
Bracket 3 game show, bracket 4.
Oh yeah. It's not even the game changer I'm talking about.
It's definitely bracket 0. It's just a hot mess of all of Veggie's comedy nonsense. And it's going to be excellent. They're very funny. Mm-hmm. People really liked them both on your old YouTube channel as well as at MagicCon. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, doing those live was very informative.
So we have the gameplay show. This podcast is relatively new. What else do we have coming up? A couple of smaller pieces that we've promised people, like Veggie's going to do a singing, and we have a dancing video that we have to do as fulfillment for our subathon. Mm-hmm. So those are going to be some sort of magic parody.
Now, this is I think much more me. But my hope is now, with the support from the subathon, with the success of Decked Out, the team channel in general, and now being able to produce the game show, that it opens the door for more alternate content, which I think is kind of wide open right now. We talked about it being very saturated for gameplay shows, and lots of people are doing it very well. And even people that are doing it very well are struggling because there's just so much of it, and it's hard to deviate from, how most people are doing it. But there's not a lot of people that are doing well-produced and consistent, not gameplay content, not talking about Magic content.
My goal would be for the gameplay, because we have streamlined it so well. We've hired editors. We've got them to where we're not losing money, and we are spending way less time of our own manpower hours on them without it being a loss of money. So my goal would be for it to be still a weekly gameplay show that we get to be very hands-off on. We have help brewing, where we're not brewing all of them. We have help building. We're not building all of them. We have help editing. We're not editing any of them, ideally. And so I would love to just get it to where, like, okay, we've filmed, over 2 weeks, we filmed 20 games. Now that's sort of on rails. The editors have them. They'll give them to me. I'll review them. I'll post them. And it's kind of on its own schedule and track. And we don't have to think about it outside of me just publishing, promoting, posting once a week. And doing the reviews, of course. But that was mostly a me thing. You guys can focus more on, new content and exploring other areas. And I think that would be really, really good. I love the idea of having Gameplay Monday, something interesting or unique or new or funny, be it short or long form content every Wednesday, and then have the podcast be Friday. I think that is a really good place for us to try to strive to be. And whether that's like a gameplay show every other Wednesday, and then something else. Like you mentioned wanting to do more of the online essays. What are they called?
Oh yeah, me talking about stuff, but with picture on screen.
Yeah, those essay things, whatever that
It's very complex.
It is a new type of content that's doing very, very well. So you could do like gameplay every other Wednesday and one of those every other Wednesday. We just don't have the bandwidth at the time to do that. And I'm hoping soon that will change.
Yeah. And that was a plan that you've had for a long time, because that's how you operate. But to always get this show to a point where to get the gameplay show to a point where we just sit down, play a game, enjoy ourselves, and send everything else off, and then get back an episode and we go, great, send it.
And I mean, it still is a lot of work.
Yes.
Like to get all of those cogs into place. And it's taken 3 years, but I feel like we finally kind of did it. Each year one, it was impossible. We were so strapped. Just give you 2 weeks to go to Christmas. It was like next to impossible. But now I feel like we've not recorded or edited anything. We haven't had a veggie edited episode in like 10 episodes.
No, I just want to clarify for all of you out there. It's not that we have not done things. We just have not needed to record gameplay episodes and edit them in-house.
Yeah, we haven't been living paycheck to paycheck on our episodes.
Right.
Not hand to mouth,
We've been able to then do other things, to work on other things that are
Deck Techs, Subathon, moving the studio.
Right.
Yeah. And also we have to really bust our butts to get to the point where we can take those 2 months to do the Subathon and move, right? Like we were all doing 14-hour days to like get it up and running. And we're still working at minimum 8 or 10-hour days every day, all of us. We've all been up for X hours and we're going to start building decks after this. So it certainly is a lot of work. It's just we're getting to dedicate that work elsewhere.
Yeah, I'll just emphasize that like when you donate to a Patreon or donate to a subathon or something like that, you're not just supporting the existing content that you already like, you're freeing up the people who make it to take risks and experiment and be creative. And ultimately that makes the content better, not just the same.
Yeah, so we did do very well for our subathon. Our goal is to hire like a full-time, 2 part-times, and take all of that extra manpower that we no longer need to do just to keep the bare minimum gameplay show running and dedicate that to game show, essays, extra short form, all sorts of goodies. We're starting to do daily streams now, so you guys can catch us live every single day.
Whoa.
Live deck techs. Like there's so much more we want and can do now that we have the freedom to do it. We don't right now. We're really kind of fucked, but we're hoping that we will get there by end of year.
Yeah, that's like the carrot dangling in front of our face that we never quite get to reach.
Yeah, right now we are all so slammed. But actually, being kind of slammed gets us into another patron question, actually. MTG Labman has been inspired by meeting Nerd Girl and Veggie at Atlanta and would like to start doing content themselves. But I'm concerned about the back end and processing and planning content. I have a full-time job, 40 to 50 hours a week. So do you have any helpful advice for balancing both the content side of things with a job?
Did they say gameplay content specifically?
No, they didn't specify what kind of content.
Well, that's step one.
I assume not like gameplay, because that's like very, very small. Very few people in the world of the number of Magic creators are doing gameplay.
That's true, but I think the majority of people looking to get into content would like to do gameplay.
Yeah, but I think the amount of people who think I'm going to start a gameplay show with zero is not that high. It's probably a safe assumption they want to do TikTok or.
I've been surprised talking to people or people talking to me about it that number is much higher than you think. And then I've been like, oh, good. I'm glad you've come to me. Don't do that.
It is not. It will not pay your bills.
I think we make it look easy. And by we, I don't just mean the three of us. I mean, like the glut of gameplay commander content that is out there in high quality makes it look like any old person can do it.
It's
like,
wild.
If these 3 idiots can pull it off, then so can I.
It's wild to me how many people just say, oh, it takes 4 hours to make a game, like make an episode start to finish. Like it's laughable. People are like, oh, just throw on the camera. How hard is it? Like someone told me that we could easily be doing 1 episode a day, like no effort. And then when I break down the like 100 hours of manpower it takes to make an episode, they're just like, well, you guys are just stupid.
I mean, yeah, but
but we're also doing it.
So I would say, like, your question specifically was about how to balance that with your job. And I think you need to, in your mind, decide what your job is, and where your priorities lie. If this is going to be a hobby for you, and the job is going to take care of the bills and you have no intention of ever jumping ship from that, then you have a lot more creativity. Like, you have a lot more room to work on something that you specifically want to do versus what will sell. So what's your goal? Are you trying to make something you really like? Or are you trying to make something that will succeed and make money so that you can jump ship from your job eventually? That's the first thing to decide.
Yeah, that's the first thing I always ask people that talk to me about it is like, is this a hobby or is this a career? Because if it's a hobby, do exactly what you want, do it exactly the way that you want it to. Don't worry about how long that it takes. Put it out into the world and love it, and don't look at any numbers. That is the best way to be happy for that.
If you're having fun with content creation, I think that's a great way to do it. And if you want it to take over your job, probably just don't do that. I wouldn't recommend it necessarily. We've gotten lucky. And we still regret it sometimes. We have gotten very lucky.
Yeah. But if you must, then I think the short version is make sure to post consistently, make sure to adapt what you're doing to figure out what works and what doesn't. And short form content is a really good way to build an audience and get discovered. You definitely might have some different opinions on this. For me, I'd be like, if I was getting into it now, I would be doing short form content only to build my audience and to figure out what works. I would be planning some long form content that was easy to produce, like a podcast or like a video essay. And I would never, ever, ever, ever stream.
Streaming is rough. That's how I started. And it's left me in a little bit of a hole. Or I just felt like I was always kind of trying to, be in the race with one hand tied behind my back.
This is something that I'm pretty bad at myself. But particularly when you are also working a full-time job, if you're going to make content, you shouldn't let the perfect be the enemy of the good. And what I mean by that is, don't labor over your first piece of content so much that you never actually release the damn thing, because then you'll never get anywhere. Like, just get it out there, get people's feedback, see how they're reacting, adapt to that, versus just going round after round in your own head. This isn't good enough. This isn't good enough. This isn't good enough.
When I talk to people about that aspect in particular, I just go, put your stuff, put whatever video you're doing out there. And if the video is incredible, great. Then the algorithms will like it, and many people will see it, and they'll go, wow, what good content, excellent job, and you're on your way. And if you put that video out there and it's garbage, then the algorithm will go, oh, nobody, we should show this to no one, and nobody will see it. And you've lost nothing. Maybe
you've gained data points.
Right. You've gained data, and maybe 12 people in the world will be like, wow, if I see this person, I'll never watch them again. And then they'll continue to swipe through like 50 billion more people and forget that they ever saw your face.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
For perspective, the three of us have met a lot of content creators and a lot of successful content creators. I don't think we've ever met any successful content creator where we've said, hey, put the first video you ever made up on YouTube, put it on the screen for all of us to see, and not have them like cringe and be an existential pain that they made something that bad.
I actively went back like a year after starting my stream. I went back and deleted the VODs for my first 2 months. Because I was like, no one needs to see this.
And that's everyone. So don't expect your first piece of content to be something you'll be proud of in 3 years.
But I still made friends in those 3 months. Like, I have viewers that were there that still pop in and say hello. So it has value. Let's get to the next question real quick. Busta would like to know, being MTG Commander format creators, how does that change how we build for being on screen? Do you stick with the basics like ramp, interaction, and creatures, or do you reduce some of them to make it more interesting? So this is a little bit more of a veggie question. I've definitely built Airball, and I do build for the show, but it is not nearly as much as veggie. So we talked about this a little bit earlier in the podcast about how we have changed a lot from the first 20 games that you'll see on the gameplay show. Veggie, do you want to give us some insight onto what those changes were?
I imagine grandly that this is how Wizards approaches building precons, because when you build for a Commander gameplay show, you are building for those decks to be played together, which is very different from I am building one deck that I will take out into the world and play with anybody. So some things that I changed pretty quickly when looking at pods or designing decks for them is, what does this deck want to do? What is the thing that stops this deck, and how bad is it when that thing when it gets stopped? And so you may, if you look really closely, see some staples missing in different individual decks, because if this deck is running whatever hate piece that does synergize with it, it shuts down this other deck. And we want everybody to have a good time. We want everybody to have a good time. And sure, removal exists, but it increases the likelihood that one deck and one player will not do things that are interesting in that game. So there will be answers. There's always answers to what each deck is doing in the other decks, but they may not be so direct that they totally shut off what it's doing. I wonder if, because we've gotten this accusation a little bit in the past, not nearly as much as some of the other shows like Game Nights, but is that why it looks scripted to some people? Because everybody kind of pops off. The decks always do their own thing, and people are assuming because in the wild, their games, someone's getting wrecked, someone's getting ganged up on, someone is failing to fire, someone is getting, hate pieced. So because we're building, because someone flew out here to come be on the show, we want to make sure that they don't just get ruined in the first 10 seconds. So I'm wondering if that might be part of the reason why people have that assumption, is because the games do look a little bit different than they would in the wild because it's for content. I mean, that makes a lot of sense, because every show, I think, approaches this differently. Some do record multiple games and only show you the ones that are more interesting. And some take a lot of care to design the decks and design the pods to reduce that from happening. And you can still see a handful of our episodes where people do get either eliminated really early, or their deck does nothing, or they get shut out. But it's just the amount of time that happens is lower. Yeah. And then some I think some shows do really adjust what happens. Almost every game that we've ever recorded for the show has made it to YouTube, and the ones that didn't for technical reasons. Mm-hmm. We have not scripted anything. I think if you have solid pilots who are playing the game as content creators do, which is for fun and for content, and you design the decks well, you can have pretty solid games consistently. Veggie, do you want to touch on potentially a decked out ban list? We actually don't have a ban list for someone who brings a deck on the show, but if we're brewing for the pod, there are just cards we won't use. Mm-hmm. And I think it would be kind of interesting for people to see some headliners that you avoid using and why you use them. Yeah, this got a lot easier actually once the bracket system came out, because we are a pretty dedicated bracket 2 show. And the reason for that is you all know that Ristic Study is good. You do not need to see the billionth game where that dominates what happens on the board and hand somebody a win. If you want to if you see a deck on the show and you're like, I want to play that, but we're playing bracket 3, then just stick the good cards in. You know what they are. We would rather highlight cards that are new or interesting or that you haven't seen before. That said, before the bracket system, a lot of things that are now game changers were soft banned. We tried to not play them in decks, or if a guest brought them in, we would we would be like, do you have a replacement? Or we'd just feel really good if that card didn't show up. Ristic Study was like top of that list. It is played in some early episodes, but it's, that card is good, but it also really disrupts like the gameplay. If you have to ask somebody if they pay the 1 each time, that is a player having to make a decision, and it's hard for you, the viewer, to like parse out what's happening if you are also getting interrupted each time. There's
a lot of interruptions, right? Because it's like, I'm going to draw my card, play this thing, and I'll attack for 1. And you're like, whoa, did you pay the 1? It really messes with the flow, and it makes it really difficult for the editors.
Yes.
You mentioned Ristic Study a lot, but I think a card that really sticks out in my mind that we try to avoid is Top.
Sensei's Divining Top is totally for that reason. The card is not a game changer, but the play pattern that it provides is really disruptive for the game, because a player has to constantly make a tiny little decision every single turn.
And it makes the episode feel so slow.
Yes.
And like it feels like the game is like trudging through molasses, because you're just sitting there like playing with the top all the time.
Yeah.
And also it's just a nightmare for the editors, because then our wall clock time goes up, which just means we have to pay the editors more, which is sometimes difficult.
Yeah. And just as somebody that has had to edit it before, it is hard to edit that. Even if a person is playing it really well and efficiently, it means you are constantly having to cut back to that player, acknowledge they've done the thing, get back to what was happening before. Any other cuts like that make things much more difficult. I'm trying to think of like any other good examples of things.
Smothering Tithe.
That's a bad example, actually.
I play Tithe whenever I want, which isn't very often.
In terms of like frequently asking someone if they pay the X, Tithe is like...
Yes, but this you will see this appear a lot more in the show, and now the only reason it doesn't appear is because it is a game changer. My stance on that card for Decked Out was the decision is much easier for players to make. Nobody ever pays for Smothering Tithe.
I do.
Nobody ever pays for Smothering Tithe. And when they do, it is very easy. It's a very easy decision for them to make. They're like, I just drew a land. It's the only card in my hand. Of course I'm paying. The 2 mana makes it so easy for people to make the decision. And the thing that it does for the game is allow one player to be a threat earlier, which Ristic Study does not do in the same way. It just gives that player more options. Tithe says, okay, I can play my big thing that's interesting faster. And that makes for good content.
This one is a little less about how we run things, but I thought it was a cute question that we should ask, that we should answer. From Fish, what is everyone's favorite Decked Out gameplay episode and why? This is kind of celebrating our 3 years, so I think this is a cute one.
My answer until recently was the game we had with Amazonian. I thought that was delightful and funny, and Amy's great, and we had the opportunity to put some skits in there because 2 players were knocked out early, and we had fun with it. But now I think my favorite episode has to be Boys Night. I mean, that was just like letting loose. It was, I thought, incredibly funny. It was very successful. I can't go with anything else.
I think it's important to point out that both of those episodes are like, here is us deviating from the Commander gameplay show norm to do something that we thought was interesting, and taking kind of a risk, because the game with Amy, we eliminate me and Big Jim very early.
Oops, my bad.
We were at the point in our like game journey where we just let it happen, and we're like, okay, let's just, I guess we'll figure out what to do. And our solution was, we can film this extra stuff and make it funny and cut back to what they're doing here and there. And like, one of my dreams would be able to make every episode like that, where we have something that's different about it, but that's just very hard to do. And that's why that one sticks out.
It would take a month minimum to film each episode, because, to edit it, to come up with the plan, to, to take that kind of care is just wild.
And then same for Boys Night, where it's like, this is just a radically different vibe from any other Commander gameplay that's happening, and it's certainly
goodness
ours.
gracious, that was episode 10. Amazonian was episode 10. That's wild.
And we didn't top that for 2 years until Boys Night came out.
Veggie, you got a favorite?
It's hard for me to think of like an individual favorite, but I will say that the recent Spider-Man episode ranked up really high for me.
Really? Wow.
Yeah, because it was, I think we had some really excellent gameplay. The dynamic of the people at the table was just like, I think could have been really strange.
Well, you have the two loudest, funniest with probably the two straightest straight men possible. I don't know if you've ever made me cry before.
Right. There. Look, I think that honestly, that's probably the only thing is after, more than 100 so episodes of running jokes into a brick wall, to have one actually hit so well, I was like, oh God, okay, I haven't lost it.
You finally got that release.
Right.
It took forever. But when you finally had it, it felt so good.
Right.
Yeah, episode 120 on the dot.
120, yeah.
Made me cry.
Oh, the other episode, well, I'll wait to hear yours, but there's another one that I have to point out if you don't.
All right, so was Spider-Man your thing?
I'm going to say Spider-Man is my recent favorite.
Okay. So mine is all about the theme, and I'm going to have trouble choosing between two. So I'm just going to cheat and say them both. When a theme is really unique and very fun to do, that's what really gets me, regardless of whether or not like it performs well, regardless of whether or not like, the decks were particularly on that day. So Princess Bride, I had a blast. The people who filmed with us, Z-Main and Zabricus, we watched Princess Bride the night before to make sure, we'd all seen it, but we wanted to get some of the lines, and we had a good time. We all got dressed up in the morning, and then we did like some photo shoots. You can see photos like on our Instagram of me and Z-Main character like dueling with like
Wooden
spoons
Yeah.
and spatulas and stuff, which was fun. There's a picture of there's a scene where they're dragging the other character's like limp dead body, and so you can see Z dragging me across the floor. So that was just a blast. And then you had the added bonus of like Zabricus being like, "Farm boy, shuffle my deck," and it's so cute to me. I love it. And then the other thing, which I thought was one of our most unique themes ever, was making decks based on TV shows. So we had How I Met
the Wart Your Raid Mother.
Yeah. We had the Avatar: The Last Airbender. We had Game of Thrones and
Top Chef for cooking shows in general.
Cooking shows in general. So like the idea that you are building something that's not the best, you're not trying to win, you're not trying to show off more Ristic studies like every other channel. The idea that you're trying to make this as How I Met Your Mother as possible, and how you can possibly fit your brain and make this deck show and represent this thing, makes for what I think is the best content. And the sad thing is neither of those episodes did well, so I'm certainly in the minority.
I do think, though, it's really important to point out that this is an aspect of Decked Out that is unique, that was you were the driving force for this, to have every episode themed.
I have very few good ideas, and that one was one of mine. And I do think it is still one of the things that makes our show so much different from all of the other shows. Because, with the exception of like Spider-Man just come out, here's our Spider-Man episode,
but it's still a theme.
But I'm saying everybody does that. Most of the time, all the other content is 4 random things smashed together. And I really love our theming. It makes me so much happier with how things play, my enjoyment of the game. It feels like we're breaking the building mold to do something more unique.
Yeah.
Even if that theme is just $50, like that is a theme still, that is still putting us in some sort of constraint. And I think that is where I am the happiest as a player, which makes me just have a good time. which makes to me the content better because I'm having a good time. All right.
Speaking of having a good time, I think any discussion of the best decked out episodes ever has to include Oops All CGBs. That is one of my personal favorites.
I assumed that was going to be someone's favorite, and it was pretty high on my list as far as I think one of the funnier episodes for sure.
Yeah. For those of you who...
Episode 50.
Yeah, right, because it was specifically the 50th episode. We were like, okay, we're going to do this fun thing, which we did not tell him. We were all prepared to transform into CGB, unbeknownst to him.
That was very funny. I was not expecting for Airball to make a bandana out of toilet paper.
Yeah.
I was not prepared for that either because I wasn't expecting to be on camera. So I had to like run out to grab CGB's bag. And in the meantime, I stopped on the way to the bathroom, grabbed toilet paper and some Sharpies and made the...
It was surprisingly good.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it was just like the comedy of that played so well because it was a bit that he was at least aware of because of me, because I had done that before. And done like a full video that he saw and enjoyed. And so me busting that out in the middle of the game was a surprise, but not like, but it was like of course I should have realized this would happen. And then Mauled doing it, person he had not met before, it was like, oh my God, okay, this is ridiculous. I can't believe that the two of you have planned this. And then the person that, at least to the audience, would seem like the least likely to also go with really stupid impersonation bit, although you had actually been the one to have historically done it first, to then also join in on that and commit to it. Plus bonus of Airball is not a player in the episode, also showing up. Those layers playing out in that way made for such a beautiful moment.
It was a very fun episode. I think with the exception of Veggie cheating on his wife, that's a bit. Don't know, nobody. If you didn't see the Spider-Man episode,
canceled.
It has to be the most I've laughed in an episode. Not particularly close. I don't think I cried, but
go back and check the tape.
Yeah. We definitely would have left it in. I think what made that to be such a good moment is like I've been friends with Airball and I have been friends with CGB for a very, very long time. Obviously now at this point, episode 50, we've all hung out and done so many shows, and all of us with Mauled even have been such good friends. We hang out outside of content. And Dusky Bear, this is not a question, but I just thought I would read it out loud because what you're talking about has a lot to do with this. It says, y'all have natural charisma that on a level that we haven't seen on other shows. The whole reason I became a patron is that you guys don't seem like you have to pretend to like each other. And the interactions don't seem forced for a joke or a bit. So I thought that was like really wonderful feedback. I asked for questions, but Dusky Bear gave us that, and I really did appreciate it.
Yeah. Well, before doing content, I worked as an actor for many years.
So you
professionally.
pretend to like us.
So I got really good at it. I knew once I had met the two of you, I would be able to fake that enjoyment and that sincerity consistently. And there we go. It's proven that I'm good at it.
And I was a software engineer who, those are notoriously very good at socialization and dealing with other people. So, yeah.
Now, I just want to note there are a lot of other good questions here that are a little less about like decked out and how we started, where we're going, things like that. So I'm going to save a lot more of these questions, I think, for another just like ask us anything, maybe a stream, something along those lines. But there were a lot of really good questions, and we did appreciate all of you guys sending those in.
All right. So decked out, yay or nay?
I like it here. I like working with you guys. Someone asked us a straight up question of who's your favorite guest, and I was just like, I don't want to answer that. Sorry if you asked that question. I don't think I can answer that. I don't know that I don't know that I don't have one, but forced to pick, I don't even know that I'd want to say it out loud. That's mean. Everybody's my favorite. I love all my friends.
Yeah, my favorite guest is me as CGB. All right, well, that's that's our final video on the channel. We will now be shutting everything down.
Happy 3 years.
Yeah, it's been great. And go somewhere else now for your content. That's it.
Yep.
We'll be back next week. Monday, actually.
Thank you for clarifying. Also, I genuinely enjoy these two people, and I have a great time, and every interaction I have on the show is completely honest and genuine.
Hey, hang on. I need to get you a copy of today's newspaper before you say that.
Oh, yeah. Okay, bye.